Welcome, here is Ethan Boardman with Business for the People.
There we go. There we go. Alrighty. So having a significant impact in the world is a primary goal of mine. With my capstone, I decided to try to use that focus, be put on the less fortunate. Throughout the year, and for my capstone, I decided to focus on business. I chose this because business has always been like a passion of mine, and I also really love the challenges that come through it. I also believe that is my calling in the world. So, for the less fortunate, I especially want to focus on the kids because just growing up, I've seen like them struggle, especially like when they wanted to do something such as going on a camp or something like that, where they just didn't have the same opportunities as others. I've just always kind of felt like bad, and I want to be able to have the means to be able to make a difference and stuff like that. Throughout this year, I also hope to gain a few virtues, such as being more of a charitable person and also having integrity in all that I do. I also want to follow what God has to say, and a good verse that goes for is, "And I have been a constant example of how you can help those in need by working hard. You should remember the words of the Lord Jesus. It is more to give than it is to receive." Acts 20:35. This verse just kind of really goes to show how true happiness is not found in trying to edify yourself as much as you possibly can, or get yourself in the best spot. It's more through doing the most you can to help others with needs they may have. So earlier on in the year, I got to interview Mr. Hannum. And this was actually a really great opportunity, and it actually ended up being one of my favorite parts about the whole capstone experience. Initially, it was a little bit of a struggle to set it up just due to work, school, busy schedules, but we finally did. We were able to set it up. It was also just a little bit awkward just because we were already friends, and the meeting itself was just so formal feeling, but it ended up being a really great experience. He was able to answer a lot of the questions I had for him, and it just really kind of helped a lot overall with what I was curious about. Mr. Hannum himself, he's been in business ever since he came out of high school, starting with upholstery, and then now he is a partner in his custom home building company and is doing very well at it. So he has a lot of information to kind of tell me. He also kind of told me about some of the qualities that I need to learn while in business, such as working hard, expecting there to be maybe more work than initially expected, and just to really push through and persevere to be able to succeed. He told me that yes, it can be very hard to go into business, and yes, there will be a lot of challenges and struggles, but if you work hard, you can do it. And when he said that to me, it gave me a nice boost of confidence and making it seem more possible to actually be able to follow this dream. And like I had said, this portion just really was a lot more valuable to me personally than some of the other sections. It was just more personal, so I really appreciated that. This capstone experience overall has been just quite a bit different from what I've done before, just in the sense of you've had to go out and do interviews, talk to people, do services, research, all that kind of stuff, but I've really grown to appreciate the process of it. Kind of initially in the year, everything didn't go quite as well or as I was hoping for. A few times with this is in the research part, I really didn't put the correct amount of effort that I needed to do, and Mr. and them were asking for, and this in result just kind of put me at a disadvantage for the rest of it. Also, my meeting with Mr. Hannum, it went good and everything, but just with my lack of experience with talking with people, I wasn't able to direct it into more of a deeper conversation, which is what I was hoping to strive for. Also, even the service part was pretty difficult, just because for business, it's not as simple as say you wanted to be a doctor, just go volunteer at the hospital. It's kind of hard to figure that out. And then lastly, just kind of like procrastination in general, just kind of waiting to the end and not really putting the effort I needed to do way beforehand. However, a lot of good also did come out of the Capstone. I just really learned a lot, became a lot more aware of what I needed to learn through talking with people. It just really helped me to figure out some things and also hear things I needed to hear to feel better about the whole thing in general. With the service part, I ended up doing some e-commerce, which is like what I plan on doing initially, and it was really neat to just kind of see how it worked initially and getting kind of like my first experience with that, and the actual Capstone forced me to be able to do that. The Capstone experience overall has been a really great experience. It's been pretty challenging and all that kind of stuff, but I've really grown to appreciate it. I've learned from a lot of mistakes I've made kind of in the first half, and with the second half, I had planned on fixing those and just getting a lot more out of it. Throughout the Capstone, even from the beginning, I wanted a few things to come out of it, such as just kind of growing as a person in general, and then also becoming more prepared for business. So when it came down to it, I knew more what I was doing. Something that I really figured out through like talking and just through my life in general is needing patience for it. Just kind of naturally, I don't have the most patience, and just in business where things don't go according to plan as always, and it's pretty easy to get like irritated with it. Just kind of learning how to take one step at a time and stay calm so you can make the best decisions moving on from that. Like I said earlier, I really want to become charitable. I believe that this is kind of part of my calling where I want to be able to use what I'm able to do to help people in need. A verse that goes with this also is Jesus said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." And that's found in Matthew 22:37 through 40. This verse just kind of really goes to show the importance of loving your neighbor and doing all you can to like help them out as like you would try to help yourself. I also wanted to learn what true integrity meant. I really also wanted to learn how to just kind of be fair and honest with people. I've kind of learned that being very honest and truthful in everything that you do is very important, and also God calls you to be like that. The verse with that is, the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity, Proverbs 11:3. So it just kind of goes to show that if you don't have these, if you're dishonest, it can end up destroying you. And if you do have them, then as time goes on, people will recognize that, and people will grow to respect you, which is very important. The Capstone itself has really helped me with my future plans. It's had several different feelings with it, such as just being challenging, just trying to figure out everything I needed to do, also a little awkward, and also very fun. So it's just had a really good mix. It's really grown me as a person, which has kind of prepared me more for such a substantial speech kind of like this, at least for me, and then also in the future with stuff like this. The verse is, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose," Romans 8:28. At this point, I really thought the Capstone was going a lot better than initially, and I was excited to see what was going to happen for me. However, kind of looking around more in like the end of the first half, I kind of saw everyone getting a ton out of it, which kind of led me to feeling like maybe I'm missing a little bit. But so it made me strive for even more with the coming part of it. Earlier I'd said like interviewing was one of my favorite parts about the whole experience, and after interviewing a few more people, it became definitely like I really loved like that part of it. I just found it very valuable. It just kind of gets you out of your comfort zone, and it also has a lot of richness that comes with it, which you grow to really appreciate, and it's very helpful. Alongside those, it also just kind of makes you more of a confident person in general when it comes to social skills with people, talking about a specific situation like this, which would obviously be very useful for business in the future when trying to do dealings and everything like that. I also interviewed Mr. Sherman, which is great. After talking to him and just kind of learning more about his life, he's just really a great example of someone that I would like to be able to strive after to be like, just because of all he's done. He, through the talk, he really just gave me a ton of information and excited me more than I even had expected, which was great. Like I said, he was able to connect with me on more of a personal level, which just really helped. He even mentioned, because I had told him earlier on that I was interested in eventually going into commercial real estate, and he said that actually one of his really good friends in San Diego was doing that, and that he'd be willing to put me in contact with that guy just to give me an opportunity, which was obviously very exciting to me. So my Capstone experience overall, the second half, just went a lot different, but it was in a very good way. Kind of before this last year, I had somewhat of an idea, but I really wasn't too sure of what I wanted to do. But with this experience, it's really kind of forced me out of my comfort zone, and now I do know more what I want to do, which is going into business, and I do believe that that is going to be my calling. At the beginning of this, I was pretty nervous about just thinking about the future and what I was going to do, all that kind of stuff. But doing this, it just made me a lot more comfortable with the idea. So like I had said earlier, I initially want to go into e-commerce, and the reason for that is it's a type of business where you can learn a lot of the attributes necessary in the business world in general, and there's a lower risk to it. And from there, I want to be able to go into the commercial real estate. And the reason for these is to get to my ultimate goal, which is having the means to be able to really make a difference with helping people, and then also foundations. And I believe that's what really truly matters. The Capstone overall just really has taught me a lot of those virtues I had mentioned earlier. And it's just made me want to strive to become a better person in general. Some of these were being charitable, honest, integrity, and after really talking with Mr. Hannum and Mr. Sherman, I could really see these qualities come out in the way they had been talking to me, which was very great. Aside from that, God expects those to come, or for us to practice those. And it will make you be known as a very truthful and honest person, which in turn will give you many opportunities down the road, which is very important. Talking with Mr. Sherman, he just really stressed the importance of honesty and how far it really got him, and that just really kind of stuck out to me. A little bit of backstory with him, he had started a business, and he actually had 1,000 people licensed under him, and it was quite a substantial thing, but he got saved later on, and he decided that he would focus fully on God's work, and so he ended up selling that and started another company about 7 years ago. And since then, he's been able to raise $25 million for missionaries, which is just great, and it has done a lot of good. And it's made me kind of want to do something that's able to help a lot like that. A quote from Mr. Sherman, he said, "Above all, showing people the love of Christ through treating people right and being fair with what you do." This kind of really stuck out to me because just kind of hearing what he's come from to where he is now, and also just what I'm wanting to do, it really gives me a goal to strive after, and I can see that's very important. Overall, the Capstone has just really left me very excited and a lot more confident about the future and what it holds. It has really changed me a lot as a person, and I am actually very grateful for that now, even though it's been difficult along the way. It's really taught me about myself quite a bit and what I truly want out of the future. the interviews themselves, like I said, were probably one of the most valuable parts of it. To me, it just really helped me on a personal level with what I needed to hear, and just giving me more confidence with what the future holds. Starting this capstone, I was very nervous, and so kind of am for what is to come, but it just really gave me a lot clearer path to be able to focus on for the coming future. It's just really helped me overall plan out and really think through what I really want to come. And I also do believe that through this whole experience, I've just really figured out the calling that I believe I'm supposed to do. I believe that there's a lot down the road, and there's a lot that God will be able to use me for in His kingdom. So, yeah, thank you.